Hi everyone. Today we have a special guest today. His name is Alex Crosby, also known as 6oodfella. He does a lot of well, he has a YouTube channel. Is that the only place you have videos on, or?
I do upload my videos to BitChute as well, but it's the same videos, and BitChute's basically just a backup for when, not if, I get kicked off YouTube, you know?
Right? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Actually, my first introduction to Alex was through his ICMI video, "World to End: Women Most Affected." So that's where I first was introduced to who he was, and then I caught him on an MR Radio Christmas special. I think it was. I think he was there. I recognized him, and that was a fun talk. And it's through that talk that I learned about his movie reviews on his YouTube. Now, when he talked about his movie reviews, he said at the time he was doing Little Shop of Horrors, and he explained that he's nesting in a rant or some kind of commentary on something else that's related to the film. And I checked it out, and it's like, well, I expected some movie review, but it's really just the rant, like with a bookend of, I'm going to talk about the movie, but then, well, I'll let you explain how that works. I don't want to talk all the time.
Oh, well, it was around about the time where everybody was getting suspended from YouTube, like Stefan Molyneux, right?
Right.
And Jared Taylor. And it was Jared Taylor that did it for me because to me, he's like the nicest old man. Do you know what I mean? He's like the sweetest guy ever, and yet he gets suspended from YouTube. This guy never swears. He never, tells bad jokes or anything like that. But yet they kicked him off, so I knew that it was just a matter of time that I'm going to go, right, because of the videos I make, right. So I thought, how can I still make videos without alerting the YouTube, blue-haired hippos onto my videos, to report them or whatever. And then I thought of this idea. I'll do a movie review where all Fireworks Rangers have almost won the title. That's Fireworks Outside. That's because of the title one. Anyway, so I thought I'd do like a movie review, right? So I'll start and I'll talk about the movie, and then I'll go, oh, that reminds me of something, and then I'll talk about what I actually want to talk about, and then I'll go back to the movie review and finish up the movie review, which is usually like 5 seconds long, But it's like, as one of my viewers said, it's like hiding in plain sight. I'm hiding in plain sight. I'm still talking about what I want to talk about, but I have to pretend I'm a movie reviewer. And the reason I picked that was because in all my time on YouTube, I've never seen a movie reviewer get suspended. And I think so they're like safe because they, no matter what movies they're talking about, they're kind of safe. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to pretend to be a movie reviewer, but really just keep doing what I do, and see if it works. It's worked out okay so far. There's a few people, a few subscribers who they have said they stopped watching my videos because they thought I started doing movie reviews until they realised what I was doing.
Well, and that's kind of weird because they know what you make before you started their reviews, right? So why are they complaining now?
Well, they weren't really complaining. It was just like they just thought that, because they don't watch me for my movie reviews. They watch me for other things. So they thought I started doing movie reviews because of the titles of the videos. But then once they realised, they were happy that, I've now got a lot of videos to watch. But I've also annoyed some people. The Gremlins one. Gremlins is a popular movie, and I did one about Gremlins. And a few people on that said, "Where's the movie review? What the hell?" And they were annoyed because there wasn't a movie. There wasn't a movie review. But technically, there is a review there. It's very short, but it's enough to say it's a movie review. It's very, very short. And the funny thing is as well, I think it's messing with the YouTube's algorithm, because a lot of the commenters are saying these are the best movie reviews on YouTube. So the algorithm's picking up all these comments, the video title. So if people are watching movie reviews, mine's are getting recommended, and that's, to me, that's just great. But I always try to pick like an obscure movie, maybe something that's not too popular,
Right. Yeah, and they're all relevant things, right? Like, for instance, one of your earliest ones was the Black Panther movie.
Yes.
And yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, I can kind of I haven't gotten the chance to watch it all the way through, but I can kind of imagine what that's going to be about. It's kind of yeah.
It's kind of the title of the movie. The movie I choose is usually kind of related. Like the one I uploaded, The Boy Next Door,
Hmm.
about the
Yeah.
woman kind of stalking the guy across the
Hmm.
street.
Yeah.
It was kind of,
Terrific.
kind of related to the title of the video, and that's just so that I'm justified in saying, oh, that reminds me, and then I can talk about more because then because it is kind of connected. But aye.
Right.
But it's
And
just it's hiding in plain sight. It is the best way to put it. That's what I'm doing.
sure, because and the few I've seen so far, another one I saw was Soccer Dog and Africa United. Soccer Dog. But the reviews are always, it's all right if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, terrific. That's like its own genre of video, hiding in plain sight, kind of a yeah.
So it's how I've got to do it. It's kind of like you could pretend to like bake cakes or something like that, and
Hmm.
you could actually bake a cake while talking about what you want to talk about.
Right.
You could also do that, but that's too much effort, so I wasn't going to do that.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I was at first I was expecting an actual review with the rant nested somewhere in where he goes off on a tangent, but I watch it, it's even more outrageous. It's the whole rant, and right, so I don't know. I just laughed out loud when I first saw one of those. Like I wasn't upset or anything. It's just I just thought it was funny.
But people aren't tired of it yet. People seem to like the formula so far. They're not tired
Right.
of it yet. But as I say, I feel that I need to take these steps, which I hate, by the way, because I think we should all be allowed to say what we want.
Hmm.
That's
Right.
that's what I believe. But because the people are getting banned left, right, and centre on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And
Mhm.
I would like something like Twitter, just as an example, just one of them, is to take, say, like a year, right? Let people say whatever they want,
Mhm.
right? And then at the end of the year, add up how many people died because people spoke freely. And I don't think you're going to get any deaths. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it's like, labeling just about anything as a COVID death. Somebody could die in an accident, and they'll count
Yes.
that as like a Twitter death.
Hmm. It's mental. I think it's the whole COVID thing is. It's just hard to trust the government when the government is the same people that are
Hmm.
labeling everyone a racist when they're not racist. They're labeling them all sexist when they're not sexist.
Hmm.
And now we have to believe these people 100%. You
Right.
know, and one
Hmm.
minute they're saying you don't need masks, the next minute they're saying you do need masks. One minute they're
Right.
saying you can go to Chinatown, it's perfectly safe. The next minute they're saying don't leave the house, and it's like, well, wait a minute here, you say you're sending mixed messages, and
Hmm.
then you're punishing us for not knowing what the message is. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, it's like, we're automatically expected to know all these kind of things, but we're also expected to just have the TV on and just suck up, whatever they say, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And if you don't, you're just some kind of fringe conspiracy theorist or something, right? And
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of, especially in the United States, right? Like where I live, it's kind of amazing to me that, it's so un-American here. It's like, um
Yes.
right, it's like, you know, uh the government and, the government funded, practically government funded, I suppose. I'm not talking public TV, well, that too, but it's like, they're getting all their info from what they call our trusted sources. It just feels so, like long time ago, you wouldn't have expected Americans to be,
No.
like this at all.
It's like something from an 80s movie set in the future.
Hmm.
It's a bit like that where Americans aren't leaving their home.
Hmm.
The Congress has wire fencing around it with guards. It's like Escape from New York or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a strange. And yet we're actually living through this. But you were saying you're expected to sit with the TV on and suck it all in. But the problem is there are a lot of people that do that.
Hmm.
And they don't question anything. One of the biggest things for me with the vaccine is
Hmm.
that the people who make the vaccine can't be held liable if something goes wrong with it. Now
Well,
that's a massive red flag for
that's
me.
a big giveaway. It's kind
Hmm.
of right, exactly. Like, why is nobody like, well, maybe they just feel that they just can't speak out on it, because
I
then
think
they'll
there's a
be
lot of that. Aye, there is a
right.
lot of that because there's a lot of people who they are scared to say certain things, and not just about COVID, about a lot of things, because
Yeah.
they will be labelled a bad name. You
Hmm.
know, now me,
Exactly.
the way I am, I get
Mhm.
labelled a bad name every day, especially on Twitter. I'm always getting called racist and
Oh
sexist
yeah.
and what have you. You know, I don't
Right.
actually hate anybody, but
Hmm.
I think that everybody should be treated equally, which
Hmm.
means we should all be allowed to be criticised and
Right.
mocked, you know, and scrutinised and all that. But that should
Yeah.
be. But it seems that only certain people can, and it's
Mhm.
very annoying, you know.
Well, there's like a lack of ability to debate properly. It's like, I
Mhm.
want to make debate great again. It's like, it's
Yes.
to coin a phrase. If you got something that we kind of, don't see eye to eye on, let's just, intellectually get in the ring, so to speak, and just kind of talk this kind of thing out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
In fact, I have a funny anecdote to make. When I was much younger, the first time I was there was the first time I was hearing about presidential debates, right? And I didn't know what a presidential debate probably looked like. And by the way, I was born in Japan, U.S. citizen, born abroad, and I was, so it's only since like teenage since I actually lived in the U.S. But I thought a presidential debate was about presidential
mhm.
candidate here, like on like a small table, just like having a discussion with some Larry King like guys trying to be a moderator or something like that. But no, it's just this kind of it looks like a game show almost,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
so that surprised the hell out of me.
And they don't really get to ask each other questions. It's more
Right.
like there's somebody in the middle who asks questions. Have you ever seen the British Parliament the way they do it? I mean,
Somewhat.
the way they argue with each other is excellent, right? It's really excellent. You've got the leader of the party in power, and you've got the leader of the opposition. You know, and they sit across from each other,
Yeah.
and they get to. I think it's like Prime Minister's questions is every Wednesday. I think it is.
Okay.
And the opposition, they get to ask 5 questions of the Prime Minister. You
Hmm.
know, and the Prime Minister has to answer these questions. He can't scurry away and he can't say, "Oh, you're just a racist," and then that's it, end of discussion. He actually has to, and it's really like some of it's usually comical by the way some of the way they mock each other and stuff. It is
Yeah.
quite funny, but
Hmm.
it's high level compared to America. It's high level stuff because I would love to see the leader of the opposition in America ask the leader in America 5 questions every week. You
Yeah.
know, that would be great because and they have to answer them. You know,
Hmm.
and there's not some CNN biased moderator either. It's a guy in the middle with a mallet, and he only smashes that mallet and says, "Hey, enough." When when they start to trail off onto another subject or they start maybe name calling or something, and
Hmm.
it's like order, order. But it's really fun to watch sometimes, especially when they're good at what they do. David Cameron and Tony Blair, they were good at what they did. They were
Okay.
really good. Margaret Thatcher, she was
Hmm.
amazing. I mean, she was you couldn't get in past her. But it's interesting to watch. But like you say, the American one, it is like a game show, and
Right.
you've got the host asking the questions, and it's like, wait a minute, why is the host, who by the way is always biased,
Hmm.
they are always biased. They either work for CNN or MSNBC or something like that, and they're
Yep.
always biased. They're always on the side of the Democrats. They really are. So they
Right.
always ask them softball questions, and they ask the other one hardball questions, and
Yeah.
it's like you say, it's like a game show. Why is that person asking questions at all? They should sit there and moderate and don't let the other two get out of hand
Yeah.
and let the other two scrap it out. You know, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's you can draw analogies from a game show. Like I'm also thinking of just like competition among sports teams or something like that, because that's the way some people treat it. Some people out overseas even kind of treat. I've heard it. Like I just don't like his face, or I just don't like the way he talks, or something.
hmm
I don't know. It feels like it's about teams. Just it's
yes.
not about right. So. I don't know. I've been pretty exasperated about this whole thing for years now. So
Well, it's the team game, like you say. Like sometimes, like you see, I don't take sides, right?
Mhm.
As I've said many times, the way it is right now, I don't like the left, but that doesn't mean I'm on the right,
Mhm.
right?
Right, right.
I don't like labels, to be honest, right? Um, but I've noticed that no matter what somebody on the left says, everybody on the left agrees with them, and then no matter what somebody on the right says, everybody on the right agrees with them, and then
Exactly.
in the opposite, everybody on the left disagrees, and everybody on the right disagrees, and it's like, do they not have a mind of their own? I mean,
Right.
did they ever stand up and say, do you know what, that no, that's wrong? You know, like you don't hear many leftists, for example, saying no, men shouldn't be playing in women's sports. You know, it doesn't.
Sure.
It's like they're told this is what you have to believe. They all go along with the mask mandate. They all go along with everything. And it's like, but none of you are going to stand up and say this is not right.
Right.
This is not right. And it's horrible. It's like you say, it's like a football team. You
Mhm.
know, no matter what happens on the pitch, if there's a tackle, one side thinks it's a foul, the other side thinks it's a good tackle. You
Exactly.
know, and no matter what happened, no matter even if it was a bad tackle, they'll still say, "No, that was a good tackle." You know,
Mhm.
and it's just that it's like the honesty's been seeked out. You know,
Mhm.
and they're all just supporters of a
Yeah.
football team.
It's like a you you're definitely afraid to be that way because you'll once again I'm coming back to the whole conspiracy thing. We're terrified of this. It's like, it could lead to job loss. It could lead to being ostracized from your friends. You can be, that's what cancel culture really is. It's like you're not perfect enough to be one
Hmm.
of us anymore. And it's starting to become this kind of, Miltonian situation. It's better, all my friends are in hell. Maybe if this keeps going on, it's better to rule in hell than serve in heaven, I guess.
Hmm. Well,
Right?
you say it could lead. It has led to that.
Like,
You know, it has led to these things. Like a teacher just last week, she lost her job because she was questioning the COVID vaccine. You
hmm
know, and she was saying, you know what, I'm thinking of starting a family one day. I don't want to get this vaccine if it's going to somehow affect my ability to have kids. You know,
sure.
so she was just asking questions about it. She wasn't even saying she wouldn't take it. She wanted more information. She lost her
Right.
job
hmm
just for questioning the narrative. She lost her job, you know,
Wow.
and as you say, it puts people, and it's not just job. It's smaller things like social media, you know. I mean,
hmm
I'm on, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but I'm on my like 14th Twitter account because
Okay.
I keep getting banned, right?
hmm
And I'm really not that bad. Like, I mean, I don't promote hate. I don't call for
No.
violence or anything like that. I
hmm
just have the wrong opinion. And I've been kicked off so many times, and I've came back. I've came back as a woman. I've came back as a black woman, as a black man. Now I'm a robot. Now I'm a robot. You know,
Right.
that's what I
Um,
am now.
back when I was on Twitter, I think I saw you. You're the Iron Giant, right?
I'm the Iron Giant. Yes, that's
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
Still there. I'm still there as that. I don't know how I've
Okay.
survived so long as the
Right.
Iron Giant. I really
Right.
don't.
I mean, I haven't been banned myself or anything like that, but I just left it. I just
Mhm.
said screw Twitter. I'm on Gab. So,
I mean, it's fun. I know why people don't like Twitter,
mhm.
and I get that, but it is fun. You know,
Okay.
it's fun to get into debates. You know, but like there was one time, right? I actually made a video about this because I was furious at this. It really pissed me off, right? Um, Ice T, you know who Ice T is, right?
Yes, I do.
And he posted something about uh, white privilege, right?
Of course.
And I said something like, can you give me an example of white privilege? Because I don't know what it
Right.
is, right?
Right.
Um, and he retweeted me,
hmm
and he said, "Oh, you're just stupid, right?" So because he's got a lot of fans and he retweeted me,
Right.
I just got dogs abuse all night long. The notifications kept coming in. I couldn't keep up with the notifications of
Right.
all his followers
Yeah.
calling me names, and they were calling me all the derogatory white names you can think of, right?
Exactly.
Calling me everything. I never once called them any names because I know how it works. I
Yeah.
call them a name, I'm a racist. So I didn't
Well,
call them
that's
names. I just tried
yeah.
to tackle what they said. They
Yeah.
ganged up on me and got me kicked off Twitter because I didn't even break any rules. There was no punishment for Ice T calling me
Right.
an idiot. There was no punishment for any of his followers calling me all sorts of names, you know. And it's just like this is clearly unfair. It's clearly unfair that, you know, I'm not allowed to argue with these people, but they can say what they want. How is that fair?
Right. Right, because that's the power of collectivism, right? You don't have to be intellectually honest. You don't have to be values oriented or anything. You just
Hmm.
need people. You just need people
Yes.
and the pull
The numbers. You just need the
mhm,
numbers. Aye.
exactly right. So yeah, okay, yeah, that's crazy. The 14th account now, you
So
said?
it's something like that. I've actually lost count. I've had so many, but I'm pretty sure it's 14. It could be more though. Pretty sure I'm on the
Okay,
14th now.
all right, cool. Well, okay, so let's talk about your ICMI talk. World to End, Women Most Affected. Super funny. I loved it. Yeah. So what got you on ICMI yourself?
Well, I was invited to do the video by Mike Buchanan
Hmm.
and Elizabeth. I don't know if she was in charge at the time. I'm not sure. Might have been a transition
Probably.
period.
Probably. I don't know.
But I was asked, along with a few others, to make a video, and I thought, well, that was a good video to make for that particular group,
Yep.
because it was about women getting favourable treatment, and
Exactly.
it is really like that though. No matter what, I mean, I even called it when this in like November 2019 when COVID first appeared.
Hmm.
Um, Round about then, I remember I wrote something on Twitter and I says, I wonder how long it takes before we're told that this affects women more. And it was like 2 weeks, and then boom, this affects women more. Women
Yeah.
are losing their jobs more, and all that kind of stuff. It's
Yep.
always the same. It's never like this affects people. It's
Hmm.
this affects women, as if we're supposed to feel worse because it affects women. It's just
Well,
very strange.
one thing I want to mention about that is that I know that the whole feminist and mainstream sphere kind of likes to indulge in that kind of thing too,
Hmm.
but one criticism I have of those that profess to speak about men, being a men's issues guy myself, most of them still tend to have that gynocentric appeal. Men's issues affect women too. That kind of thing. Like one part I remember in your video is that male genital mutilation affects women too. That part when you covered that part, so, yeah, just hit the nail on the head. It's
Well,
like
that is a strange one,
now
isn't
we
it?
should care, right? Now we should care. Women are affected.
Yes.
Now we should care about men.
Aye, and it's like if we're only caring for that reason, then we're not really caring about men at all. We're
Right.
only, we're only caring about women. But I think a lot of people say something like, this affects women too, because it's for the men's rights movement, women's voices are very important. It's important for them to speak up because at the end of the day, they're the only ones that can really change anything. They're the ones that have the politician's ear.
Hmm.
If men go to the politicians and say, "Look, here is a problem," they don't listen. But if women go, they listen. At
Right.
least they listen. So we do need women to speak up a bit, and especially because it is really affecting them now, where men really are avoiding women now. They really are. It's like to them they've got better things to do, and it's a shame that that's the way it is, but that's the way it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is what it is, as they say. And a lot of men now are like, you know what? I don't want to get involved in that game. Being in a relationship,
Yeah.
walking on eggshells, and obviously it's not always like that, but a lot of guys don't want to take the chance. They've got other things. They think to themselves, you know what? I've got a career I want to focus on. I've got my hobbies, I don't need that, but I think a lot still want it though.
So, more on the, women having more, it's important for women to speak up more. Well, that, be that as it may, should we do anything to kind of, let people know that men are as valuable, that their voices are just as valuable as women's when it comes to the men's movement? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, who is it that changes things, right? It's the politicians. They're the ones who uh, they have a problem. They take it to the government. They try to get it fixed, and as I say, they just don't listen to men. They just don't, but they do listen to women. So obviously, that they're equally as valuable as women, obviously, but people aren't going to hear that. They're just not going to hear it. You know, they see men. They've been raised to see men as disposable. You know, and they do see it like that. You see it like you see it like in stories. You know, like two guys rescue a deer, right? But it'll be people rescue deer, you know, from being trapped or something. But if that was women, it would be women rescue deer. Do you know what I mean? And it's they do this all the time. Like if 15 guys lift a car up to rescue somebody, the headline is 15 people. But if one of them's a woman, it's like 14 people and one woman, you know. And it's like, well, because everybody sees them as more important, you know. They should, and it is annoying, but I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can fight that.
My latest video on my channel talked about, you know, this is kind of something where women are treated as human and men as subhuman. Right.
As objects almost.
Right. Yeah. I actually call, you know, I refer to how men is being treated as death objects because, you know, they're kind of expected to be disposable, expendable, and you're, you know, if you don't, you know, if you don't be a man enough, you will die. But if you don't try and do something that could get you killed, you're not a man. So it's like this catch-22 situation. So I'm trying to, you know, find a solution to that.
Well, I suppose MGTOW, as I'm sure you've heard of them, or MGTOW, I don't know how you pronounce it. That's kind of the solution because, as you say, there's these rules in place, and a lot of men are going, you know what? I don't want to play that game. I don't like those rules. They're stupid. They go against me, you know, and they favour the women. So I'm not going to play that game. Anybody who wants to play that game is free to do so, but I'm out, you know. And I think that's the solution: is men standing up for themselves and saying, no, I'm not playing by these rules. The rules when it comes to marriage won't change until women change them. But it seems that women don't want them to change, you know, because that's. I actually think a lot of women would be happier because men would be willing to, you know, get involved with them more if they knew the rules went against them. You know, but it's just simply not playing. When the rules are silly, just don't play the game.
Right. Yeah, I mean that you can't blame anyone for thinking that way, right? Right.
It's self-preservation, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's what it is. They're just looking out for themselves, and why shouldn't they?
Right.
It's their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's talk about music here. So you got a Mixcloud account, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you do on that?
Well, I just I don't use it a lot. I'm actually thinking of cancelling the pro version because I don't use it enough to justify the payment. But I make mixes, like DJ mixes. I'm not a professional bedroom DJ, you know. But I make mixes for myself, and then I upload them there. And if anybody else wants to like them, then fine. I wanted to use it to do more hangouts, but I don't know if they can really work because a lot of the time is spent just sitting there and listening and not saying anything. And I think some people, I don't mean the people listening, I mean the people taking part might not really like that, you know, just sitting waiting on the song finishing. And
Exactly.
I like the idea, but I don't know if I can really take off with that. But I like to listen to mixes. I like mixes, and I like all different kinds of music. I mean, I know people say that, but the only one type of music I really don't like is like bluegrass. You know that kind of Irish jig music type thing.
Well, I understand what you mean, but you know, it's funny that you say that because you know, I think bluegrass music is pretty proficient and interesting. So it's kind of surprising that you would say that that's not really your thing.
It's just the fiddles and all that, and you know, I don't know why it is, but it's I mean, I love country music, but not that kind of country music.
Really? Okay.
You know, and I don't even know why. That's just one of the ones that if it comes on, I'll fast forward with it. I'll be like, nah, I don't want that. Some of it's all right. Like what's the one? It'll come to me that there's a green grass and high tides. Is that? Would you count that as bluegrass?
Might have heard of that. I don't think I'm too familiar with that one.
Green Grass and High Tides, I think it's called, and it's got like a excellent guitar solo in it. It's mostly guitar. Uh, Green Grass and High Tides Forever. That one. It's a kind of old song, but it's I don't know if that would count as bluegrass. That's all right. But it's when it gets into that kind of the devil went down to Georgia, that kind of stuff.
I see.
That is it's just I think it's the fiddle. I think it's probably the fiddle. That when I break it right down, it's probably the fiddle I don't like. Out of all the instruments, that's probably the one I don't like.
Okay. So when you make your mixes, now is it all original stuff, or is it just like samples of existing material?
Oh no, it's just songs that are like already out. I don't make my own music or anything,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just
Sure.
like so right now I'm working on a rap music mix,
Sure.
and I've already got the 160 odd songs that I'm going to use in it. So it's
Hmm.
probably going to be a long one. So
Okay.
then I'll have to sort the beats per minute and then sort the mix out and then record the mix and then upload it. And it takes a while,
Yeah.
but as I say, it's for me. I
Exactly.
will listen to it when it's finished. If
Yeah.
anyone else wants to listen to it, that's fine. That's why I upload it.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't
But
make it for anyone else, just for myself.
yeah, sure. But the reason I bring that up is because it's really interesting how Mixcloud seems to work then, because it's like the one time I know that you supposedly don't get in trouble for just using stuff that's not your own original material. So
That's
how does
right.
that work?
That's right. I think they've got with like official artists and all that. I think they've got. I think the deal that they've got in place, right,
Hmm.
is that you can upload music and you can play it live, but you won't be muted while you're live. So if we do a hangout on Mixcloud and we're playing songs, they won't mute it when it's live. Twitch would mute it right away. You know,
Hmm.
they won't mute it when it's live, but later on, once it's uploaded, it no longer counts as live, and they just let it lie. And I think if it's mixed, that helps as well. I think if you
Okay.
if you just try to upload an individual song, they'd probably say no, you can't do that. But
Okay.
but if you mix it with something else, then that's okay. But Mixcloud is the only one because there's SoundCloud as well. They don't allow it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Mixcloud's the only one I've found.
Yeah.
Which I hate all that copyright stuff. I find it really
Exactly.
annoying.
Like.
I understand why it exists because if you're a musician and you've made a song, you want that song to sell. You don't want people to steal it. I get that, but at the
Right.
same time, you want people to hear it, right? So
Well.
I
Yeah.
mean, so it's,
Yeah.
it's a fine line.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a critic of how intellectual property's been kind of implemented, and
Hmm.
somewhat of the concept myself. It's like, you know, okay, so all right, you've composed the song and you've had the recording out, but now that it's getting into, now that that thing that you just sold is into other people's hands, it's kind of their liberty to share it how they want, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you agree with me there, but it's weird because I'm a musician and an artist too, and I'm saying this kind of anti-IP
Well,
stuff. So,
well, I was looking for. I did a techno mix, right?
mhm,
Techno songs, especially from like the 90s, Scottish techno songs,
yep.
are quite difficult to find, right? And the names, because it's techno, the names are hard to remember, right? So I looked up names that I did know on YouTube,
Hmm.
and then I started to get recommended other ones that I then recognised not through the name but through the music.
Hmm.
Now, when I listened to these songs on YouTube, I listened to the songs and then I wrote them down and then I paid for them on iTunes. I bought them,
Right.
So even though I heard it for free, I
Yep.
still bought the song because I wanted to keep the song. I wanted it from one, and I wanted it as best a quality as I could get.
Exactly.
So I bought it anyway. So it's like when people pirate games. I understand why people are against that as well, but
Hmm.
a lot of the time if you pirate a game, you want to buy it
Hmm.
because you like the game. It's more like an extended demo, when you
Yeah.
pirate a game. So it's like that. But did you hear? I think it was maybe last week. Metallica, who pushed for this,
Yeah.
who they pushed for all this copyright stuff. They
Exactly.
were they were doing a live show on Twitch and it got muted while they were live. And it's like everybody's making a joke
Okay.
because
I
they're
think I
they're the
think I
ones that
remember
called
that.
for this.
I
You know.
remember. I don't remember all the details of what happened, but I remember some people talking about Metallica being muted or something like that. What went on exactly?
Well, they were doing some live show on Twitch. I wasn't watching it, but
Okay.
um, But because Twitch recognised one of their songs in the algorithm, they then dubbed over it with like free music that you're allowed to,
Yeah.
It's so they were there, with their guitars banging their head and all that, and this other fiddly music, whatever it was, like it sounded like a video game or something, was playing over it, and so they got muted, and everybody's laughing, as I say, because Metallica, they were the ones that were at the front saying, "Hey, we need to protect these songs." And now it's like now you've protected them so much you can't even play a live show on Twitch because it will get muted.
Well, it's like, your own music is getting out of your hands if you kind of, that's what I think intellectual property is kind of turning out to be. It's like, it's not your music exactly. It's the music of the powers that be that you're beholden to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even, it's like, like take the band Dream Theater, for instance. They've been trying to, I think they were trying to re-release their debut album or something like that, but that's the one album they did in a different record like a recording record label, I think it was. So they've been, which won't cooperate with them. So so that one's just kind of sitting there, like only older versions or something like that, or something like that. So yeah, so I think I'm getting some of the details wrong, but
no, but I know what you mean, because they were saying about Taylor Swift that her manager won't give up the rights, to her songs or something.
Sure.
She wants, and everybody's saying, oh, he's a sexist or whatever and all that kind of stuff. But he's making money, So if he signs that away, he stops making the money off her songs. So I mean, why would they do that? And it really just teaches people, be careful what you sign, And the whole George Michael versus Sony, that went on for years, and George Michael refused to release anything because he was under the contract of Sony, and then when he left Sony, he started releasing music, But
right, yeah.
I like you say, it's not the musicians, it's the record companies.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, I mean, it's funny because I've come from I've been associated with local music scenes and stuff like that, right? And it's ironic that usually leftist and anti-capitalist and stuff like that, but the thing is, they're always on about buy merchandise and support your local artist and that kind of stuff, right? And never ever pirate music or you're a scumbag douchebag or something like that. So but it's like and a bit of a tangent here, there's so many of them out there, right? Like those musicians, and it's like we'll get into innovation in music in a moment, but there's so many of them out there, and they're expecting the customer to be so rich to pay each and every one of them just to get a listen of their songs, right? So it's once again, it's a bit ironic because they think companies are selfish for earning profits, just being evil for earning profits. I don't think there's anything wrong with being selfish, but they're deriding people on that basis. But so there's a big bit of irony there, and it's a very saturated world out there in music now. It's not like it used to be, kind of.
No, I mean there's when you listen to the radio, which I rarely do. I hear the radio, like songs, before or after programs I'm actually listening to on the radio. Like talk radio and stuff.
Sure.
And a lot of it is cover versions. There's no originality left, to get on the radio, and like a lot of them are from the 80s. I love the 80s, and a lot of them are just cover versions of 80s songs with a dance beat.
Yeah.
It's just like there's just no originality there. I mean, do they really feel proud, like having their name as a writer on a song like All the Single Ladies from Beyonce? When there's like 9 writers on that same song, do they feel proud if they're at a party talking to somebody? Do they proudly say, I was one of the 9 writers on that song? Or, I mean, they can't be proud of that.
Right, it's almost like if you have that many writers, it's because they're trying to stifle as much creativity as possible, and it takes a lot of effort. And because one guy could be kind of have their song kind of blow up in interesting directions, but you need all these writers just so they can be this kind of condensed, kind of
Hmm.
suppressed, sort of thing.
But like they say, a camel is a horse based on committee. That's what the writers are doing. They're throwing their bit in. No, no, take that out. No, don't put that in. And and then it ends up with you had this vision of a horse, but then you end up with a camel, and you're like, what happened here? But I think it happens a lot, not just with music, on TV as well, TV shows as well. But it can be annoying.
Exactly right. Um, I heard some anecdote. Well, not an anecdote. I've heard some quote, I think it was from Frank Zappa, about how it used to be that record labels would kind of they were this kind of cigar chomping businessman that basically said, nope, nope, it's something crazy, give it a shot, maybe it'll be
Hmm.
interesting or something like that. So it's not, and it was in contrast to somebody who claims to know what the public wants, the modern person, and try to tailor something to what might sell. I think it is like,
Hmm.
I think the argument there was that uh, it used to be that the record companies and artists were more open to experimenting and seeing what happens, seeing what sticks, I guess. But I don't think it's like that anymore.
No, they're told what they're told. Like you say, they're told what the public like. They're told what sells, and that might not be their vision, but their vision might be the new thing that everybody loves, And I mean, you ever watch those TV shows, American Idol, things like that?
I know
And
what it is. I never watched them.
I mean, you get these people on, and they get judged, on how well they can sing. And I always think, you know what? If if that was, say, somebody like Elton John, who I love, right? If that was
Hmm.
Elton John, they would probably say he's too ugly. They'd probably not. You don't have the flashy white teeth. You don't have the tan. Sorry, you've got to go. Even though it's Elton John.
Hmm.
Same with Mick Jagger or the Who, and but people like that, they would say, "Nah,
Right.
sorry, man, you don't, you don't have the look that we need." And it's like, but it's for music. Shouldn't matter what they look like. I mean, if you're listening to them, you don't care what they look like. You know,
Right. Yeah.
it's all about appearance now for the videos.
Yeah. Right. Well, what are your thoughts on, well, since we talk about videos, what are your thoughts on the existence of music videos? Do they have some value, or is it kind of a waste of time, or?
No, I think some music videos are good,
Mhm.
but it's a different beast. It's for different people. Like the musician comes up with the music, but then somebody creative on the other side comes up with the video, and then they work together. I don't think a musician can come up with a video and vice versa. But there's been a lot of really good music videos. Um, like, yeah, I don't know if you know OK Go, a bit of
I know
bit
who
of a
they are. I haven't listened
a
to
bit of a pop band, but their videos are excellent. I mean, the work that goes into their videos is unbelievable. Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer. I don't know if you've seen that video. That's a classic.
Yeah, I saw that one actually. That must have been hell for Peter Gabriel to just sit under
Oh,
that glass
hmm.
for hours and hours and hours.
But it turned out well. The video
Yeah.
turned out really well, and so I do like videos when MTV used to play videos. Videos are
Mhm.
all right, but they're a different beast from the music itself.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that usually prefers to listen to an album from start to finish. Even some of the ones I don't like, I sit through them.
Hmm.
Right. Because I'm all for that full album experience. Like, I hate to think that a song was just wasted. Like it's just kind of there just because, right? Like
Well,
their
I
heart wasn't in it.
I because it's still, even if it's like a track number 4 that nobody ever hears, they still put work into that track. There was
Right.
still some work put into that track, and
Yeah.
it might be good. I'm not. I mean, I'm not that kind of guy myself. I'm more of a
Okay.
popular. You know,
Sure.
I know what's kind of popular, but some of the obscure tracks on people's albums I don't know. You
Hmm.
know, but, so
Yeah.
I don't listen to albums from start to finish because unless it's like a greatest hits.
Right. Like, yeah, because I advocate for advocate as if I'm serious, but it's like I would suggest that some people sometimes put on an album and see if there's something you haven't heard before that you know could have been a hit, or at least in your mind. So sometimes there's some hidden gems here and there, so it can be an adventure. So I know it's a bit common to say people just don't make great music anymore. And being a musician, that kind of stings because I'm trying to make creative music, and
Aye.
I'd like to think it counts for something. But it's like it really is all out there. It's not just the radio. You know.
No, I think you're right. I'm probably ignorant on that part because as I said, it's on the radio when I'm hearing this stuff,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's repetitive, it's cover versions, but I would need to travel further than the radio in order to hear, actual um different things. But no, I wouldn't say all music. I know obviously, like the film industry, there's some good films out there, but and the ones that make the box office are not necessarily the best ones. So
Yeah.
you're
Like.
right. You're right. I shouldn't just be sticking to the radio.
Right. Yeah. Actually, like 2 days ago or something, I actually went ahead and bought some more albums because I haven't done that for a while. But got the new Therion album and the new Evergrey album. So I'm gonna see how those are. They were kind of with the exception of the Evergrey album, which I sampled a bit. I don't really know what to expect, so it's gonna be an adventure.
So that was actual CDs there?
Yeah. 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 I
Oh,
still
right.
buy CDs. Yeah. Yeah.
Still buy
I still buy
CDs. Okay.
CDs, guys.
No,
Yeah.
that's excellent. That's excellent. Are they actually new albums? Are they just out, or are they just new for
Yeah. They're
you?
just
Or
out. Yeah.
just out, just
Their
out?
their latest album's just out.
Now that I think about albums I've listened to from start to finish, the one I could think of is Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd.
Yep.
That's a good album from start to finish. I mean,
Right.
you don't have to skip anything on that one.
Mhm.
But it is a short album though. But
Somewhat.
but
Yeah.
but that's really good. I've not listened to that for a while, but that's really good.
Yeah, I mean everything kind of just flows into itself. It's like,
Mhm.
it's almost, in my mind at least, it's a tad bit sacrilege to kind of have one song kind of, on its own, you know.
Mhm.
You can. I'm not against anyone doing that, but I'm just saying, like, it almost seems, wasted to just not hear from start to finish as
Well,
a
it's like
piece,
it's like picking up a book, reading the start, and then going straight to the end,
Mhm.
and then leaving all the middle parts unread.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be the future of reading though. Like I had this kind of side like dystopian scenario in which people can buy chapters of a book instead of the whole thing.
oh man, that's just that's not right. I was
Oh
watching
yeah.
a video on YouTube the other day. It was a clip from Columbo, right, which is my favorite show ever, right?
Oh, I know
Um,
what Columbo is.
eh,
My mom loves that show.
well, there was this guy who wrote in the comments, and he said um, he used to watch Columbo at the start and then skip to the end to when the bad guy gets caught, and I was just like, what? What's wrong with you, man?
Right.
The whole show, you've got to watch how he does it. You can't just go to the end.
Right.
It's like, but he says that he learned from that he should watch the whole episode. Yes, you should watch the whole episode. That's crazy, man. I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. Right.
But
Yeah.
people are in a hurry these days, aren't they? Everything's all fast. So,
Yeah.
well, they
It's,
kind of
it's,
do. They kind of do that with TV shows now on like Netflix and Amazon Prime. They'll have
right.
a full series, but they'll bring it out one episode every week, and it's like, oh come on, I paid for the service. You
Mhm.
know, you've got the full season there. Why don't you just put it on there so that I can watch it when I want, rather than having to wait every week? Because there's so many things that you're doing when you watch one week and then the next, you kind of forget what happened the week before because you've watched other stuff between it, and it's like, and especially if a lot of the stuff's the same. Like I was doing that with
Yeah.
Better Call Saul and Narcos, and they're kind of similar because they're about the drug game in Mexico and all that. So
Yeah.
I was kind of getting confused when it came to the next week and I was watching one and I was thinking, wait a minute, what happened in that again? Because I already watched another similar program.
Yeah.
Just put the whole season on you know.
Exactly.
It's,
Right.
it's annoying that they don't do that.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. We consume that kind of media in a different way than people used to. You had to kind of like one thing that I was thinking was thinking about was clip shows, right? Like
Hmm.
right now, I would think that clip shows are 100% waste of time, right? But I was reading up on clip shows, and back in the day, apparently they were well received because you weren't guaranteed to catch an episode of something
Hmm.
sometimes, and while the framing might be kind of made fun of, um, they were considered great to see because it's scenes from episodes you missed or something, right?
Maybe. I mean, but that was back then when it was on TV and you had to be in front of your TV when it was on, or you had to record it on video, or
Yeah,
But now it's like on demand, as they call it.
exactly.
It's completely it's changed everything, and there's so many shows out there. I do like TV shows, but there's so many, that
Oh yeah,
I can't possibly watch them all. I
right.
mean,
It's
I would like to watch anime, right? But
sure.
there's so many. One that's been recommended to me is Demon Slayer, right? Don't know what that is,
Hmm.
but I've been told that that's a really good one to start with.
Sure.
But when you look up like anime, there are so many, and I wouldn't know where to start. And it's just like so I might give that a watch. I think it's on Netflix. I might give that a watch just to see what it's like.
Okay.
'Cause I've never watched anime before, so unless you
Yeah,
count Spirited Away and stuff like that.
yeah, right. I mean, there's always that, but it's weird because being born in Japan, I was surrounded by this stuff, but I don't know a whole lot of the popular ones. It's like
Hmm.
it's usually just stuff I watched as a kid. That you can't really find because it never caught on in the Western world. So and those tend to be the ones I'm most into. So, but it's not that I watch a show because it's anime. I watch, I'm a big Star Trek guy, and so and I've watched my share of shows. I've hauled what I can in that regard. Most of my time is spent on music and some movies.
Hmm.
So right.
Do you ever watch Red Letter Media on
My
YouTube?
wife does, yeah, and I've seen some parts of it. I need to kind of give it a serious watch. It looks pretty hilarious,
It's
but
really funny. I've watched it. I've watched their shows about Star Trek, even though I've never watched Star Trek,
mhm.
and yet it's still dead funny. Because I actually learn quite a lot about Star Trek watching their shows,
Oh yeah.
um, rather than actually watching Star Trek. But no, I've never been into Star Trek. Any space thing apart from maybe Futurama. I've never really.
Right. Like when I was a kid, the space stuff was pretty exciting, right? The New
Hmm.
Worlds thing, like that. But even now, it's like the space thing is not even the first foremost thing on my mind. It's just a good show. It's about great characters. It's about great
Hmm.
concepts. And I'm talking about the first 5 series of Star Trek, by the way. Like new Star Trek is absolute trash, in my
All
opinion.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's completely eaten up by the woke
All right.
ideologies. It's terrible. Um, but yeah, it's like you know, there's like other reasons than space to watch it. So I really highly recommend it.
Hmm.
Right?
No, I've seen a few things about it. Like I think it's the Next Generation, where the different characters and there's not always a happy ending, and
Oh,
not every episode's like about the same thing. That there's
mhm.
it's all different things all the time, and it does look interesting, but it's one of those things I've never get into that kind of thing. Same with Star Wars as well. Could never
Sure.
get into Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is the one that didn't really catch on with me either. I mean, I've seen the movies and I've seen the prequel movies. I have no plans to see the latest movies at all.
No.
Right, but that Star Wars did not stick with me. It's probably just chance. It just didn't. It just didn't. It wasn't my thing. But it's but it seems like everybody wants to talk about Star Wars instead of Trek most of the time. Back when I was growing up, Trek wasn't as popular among the kids as it was now. I think.
Hmm.
I don't know. That sounds kind of strange considering Star Trek was supposed to be one of the greatest shows of all time. But kids, it wasn't cool to be a nerd watching Star Trek when I
No.
was the age I was. So,
No.
but
Nerds were
nerd
cool for a
culture
while
is kind
though.
of what?
Nerds were cool for a while. Not long ago they were kind of cool for a while. Like Big Bang Theory and all that kind of stuff.
I see.
But like you say, it was very popular, but it was seen as like a nerdy, geeky type
Mhm.
thing, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but now it's trying to appeal to modern sensibilities, almost all of them which are bad. So it's no, it's like, like the worst part of the world of nerds is trying to come after people who just want to have a good time and just watch a good series or something like that.
Hmm.
They're completely, trying to punish and be spiteful of those who don't think in their politically correct ways.
Yes, and it's horrible. It's horrible to see, and like these people created this culture, you know, for themselves, and then people butt in, you know, the woke mob, they butt in and they want to change it all. Let's change all this now, and it's like, well, we like it the way it is, you know. But no, they changed it now. They take over with the producers. The producers of the show change it. Now the people who actually were loyal fans are no longer interested, you
Hmm.
know. So now they don't have loyal fans anymore, you know. And then what happens when the loyal fans say, you know what? I've had enough. I don't want to watch this anymore. They get called racist or sexist for turning their back on it, you know, and it just the whole thing's crazy. It's like they won't allow people to just have fun, you know.
Exactly right. Because in their mind, if you're the kind of guy that has fun looking at this, you must be fundamentally evil somewhere deep inside you.
Hmm.
That's the
Yes.
kind of mindset I'm just sensing from these people.
Well, yeah, and it is everywhere. It's TV shows, it's music, it's movies, it's video games. Trying out video games as well. You know,
Exactly.
there's a guy, I think he's in Chicago. I
Hmm.
think one of the politicians there, and he's trying to ban Grand Theft Auto for adults. You know, I mean, this game's been out for over 7 years, and now he's trying to ban it because his logic is that it encourages people to steal cars, and it's just so the logic is so flawed, you know. Like 'cause the game is called Grand Theft Auto. It's literally named after the crime. The crime has already taken place, you know. It's already named after the crime. The game didn't come first. The crime came first, you
Hmm.
know. But he wants to blame it on the game. Like in his mind, people are playing the game and then going, you know what, I'm going to go and steal a car in real life. It's just the logic is flawed.
Yeah, it's like, you weren't introduced to the idea of stealing a car before you played the game.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
But
like,
but violence has went down over the years, ever since video games became
exactly.
popular, especially in the 90s. Violence went down, you know.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Like,
but
I believe in, enjoying a game for its own sake, but a good side effect is that it's kind of serving as like a safety valve almost. If there are people who has any kind of, if they didn't play the game or something, maybe they would have kind of gone on and taken it out on committing a crime or something.
well, it keeps them indoors. Aye,
Yeah.
it keeps them indoors, you know. And but the idea that games lead to that. It's all fantasy. But they did it. They did it with heavy metal music in the 80s. You
Hmm.
know, there's a radio station here, Radio One, right?
Hmm.
BBC Radio One. It's probably the most popular radio station, right? And every week, every Sunday, they had the top 40, right? And they would play the top 40 hits, and then the big number one, they would play the number one. And then one week, they didn't play the number one song
Hmm.
because it was Iron Maiden, and there was a huge uproar about this. Iron Maiden legitimately got to number one with
Hmm.
"Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter," right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
And they got to number one. They earned a place, you know, and Radio One refused to play it because it was Iron Maiden, you know. And as I say, there was a huge uproar. Like, why the hell are you not playing that song? They've earned it, just like anybody else earned it, you know. Just like Rick Astley earned it. Iron
Hmm.
Maiden earned it, so you should play the song. But because
Yeah.
it was called "Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter," they probably thought that was, I don't know, encouraging people to kill their daughters or something. I don't know, but no, they refused to play it, and it was crazy. I remember that it was everybody was going crazy about that because well, the double standard, you know.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. right? You know, if it just looks like it could, you know, if it looks so much as if it can tell you to screw off, then it's a no go. You know.
Yes.
Hmm.
But
Right.
banning all this stuff, I think, has a worse effect. You know,
It
it
does. You
just
know.
it just has a worse effect.
Hmm. Exactly. Like it's best to bring us, within reason, bring more stuff out into the open, and
Hmm.
like, and it's not only about just having people express themselves. People can get tougher. I think the audiences can get a bit
Yes.
uh, strengthened, and have a stronger stomach maybe. You know.
And especially if they hear things, that they don't like, well, just toughen up then. Get a thicker skin. Toughen up and learn how to deal with it. Or I mean, especially when these days you can block people.
Hmm.
So if you're online and you're saying, oh, I don't know, I hate Scottish people or something like that, right? And I don't like that.
Hmm.
Okay, I just block you then, and I don't have to see it again. Rather than
Right.
get you banned, I can simply block it, and then I don't have to see it.
Hmm.
But the issue with these people is it's not enough for them to block it. They don't want anyone else seeing it, and that's the issue. That's the
Yeah.
issue. These people they've been given too much power, far too much power.
Yeah. It's like a terrible permutation of wanting to matter, wanting to make a difference. Like it's a bad take on wanting to make a difference in the world, right? Right.
Yes.
You don't want to quash something just because you don't like it, and
Hmm.
and maybe they want to see themselves as some kind of savior figure or something like that for having done so, having taken down the demon, I suppose.
Well, there's a saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions or something like
Yes.
that, and I think that's what it is. They think they're doing the right thing. They think what they're doing is good, you know, um, but it's not good.
Right.
I seen a comment the other day. Somebody went on one of the. I actually seen it on 4chan, on Twitter, sorry, but it was about 4chan,
Mhm.
and somebody had looked up. In case you put this somewhere, I'll just say N word, right? Just so
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep it safe, right? So somebody looked up just N word, right? And it
Hmm.
came back, and there was over like 10 million examples on this site of the N word, right?
Hmm.
So somebody commented and said, "This is disgusting. Um, how are black people supposed to feel safe on this site?" And to me, that was more racist than the N word.
Exactly.
To think that black people are so weak that they feel unsafe when they see that on 4chan? I
Oh, yeah,
mean,
that's
what? I mean, it's
it,
ridiculous.
yeah. If I was a black person, I'd be really condescended if somebody were to say that. It's like, yeah.
I think you get a lot of that. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're
Mhm.
being good, They think they're standing up for black people, but they're actually patronising them. They're being really disrespectful
Exactly.
by treating them like that. But yet they don't see it. It's very
Hmm.
strange.
Oh yeah, absolutely, sure. Like, so a bit of a further tangent on just this kind of banning mentality of kind of keeping things away, like you know like this kind of collective raising our kids in a bubble mentality that
Hmm.
right, like, so I was contemplating the idea of like censorship and like, well, anime, because we were on the subject of anime a short while ago. Like, you know in places like Japan where I was born, you know there are some things, like including like the subjects of death, guns, sexual humor,
Hmm.
or whatever. There's a different cultural attitude there, but in the United States, those things are basically censored, right? And it's just here's the thing: America is supposed to be like the country of screw you, we do what we want, right? Like, but it's like the most un-American, milk
Hmm.
toasty. It does some of those, it's very censorious, like this kind of um think about the children mentality, I suppose. So
Yes.
right, so they've not settled that contradiction out yet here in the United States, I would think. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, America, they like to advertise themselves as free, right?
Mhm.
As a free country, but there's a lot of things that they're not that
they're
free.
not they're
Like
not
there are certain groups you can't criticise, as we mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
I remember this exchange a few years ago.
Mhm.
Somebody on Facebook was complaining they went to New York They were visiting New York, you know, and they got in the taxi, and the taxi driver had a swastika tattoo on his arm, right? I actually think it was a Buddhist symbol, and they thought it was a swastika, right? But anyway, they thought it was a swastika, right? And they said, that's outrageous. How is that allowed? And I said, well, wait a minute. America's the land of the free. If you can't have a Nazi tattoo there, where can you have a Nazi tattoo? You know what I mean? So you don't have to like the Nazi tattoo, but, you know, it's America. If you want to walk around waving a Nazi flag, you should be allowed to do it. People might not like it, but you should be allowed to do it, you know? But as I say, I think it was ignorance. It was probably the Buddhist symbol, you know, the kind of backwards swastika. I think probably was that.
Well,
but
more on that, you know, it's like it's also a bit double-sided too. You know, like people like go up in arms about the swastika, but the hammer and sickle you see everywhere. You know.
Yes, you do. I've noticed that, and you won't get into trouble for that either. You know, and it's like if you walk around with a Hitler T-shirt on, say you've got a T-shirt with Hitler on it, people will be outraged. But if you've got Chairman Mao on your T-shirt,
or Che Guevara is the most popular one.
There's another one. They don't bat an eye. It's like that's fine. It's like, wait a minute, didn't that guy kill more people than this guy, and yet you're okay with that guy? How does that make sense? Weird.
Right.
It's
sure. Like
a condition.
Kim Jong-il, you know, Kim Jong-un, who, you know, any of the North Korean guys, you know.
But they're conditioned. They're conditioned to, you know, with certain things, especially with the school system. They're conditioned. Hitler bad, you know, and that's all you need to know, pretty much. Hitler bad, slavery bad, done. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need to know, you know.
Exactly, and you know, it also doesn't help that, you know, like the Soviet Union really tried to kind of cheat their way into being the more, you know, tolerant kind of culture, I suppose. You know, even though behind the scenes it was an absolute death trap. You know, but you know, it's like, you know, everybody, you know, one thing that annoys me so much is Sputnik. It's like, you know, it's beeping space junk that the Russians threw into space just to say that they were the first to go in space.
It's crazy that the whole space race thing. It's crazy, and because they're fighting each other, so desperate to be the first. That's why everybody questions the moon landing, you know, because they're like, wait a minute, you know, is that for real, or did you just want to beat the Russians, you know? But now it's all changed now, because we go back to the woke thing again, because they're talking about putting somebody on Mars, but they're saying we need to make sure it's a woman or a person of color, and it's like, why does it have to be a woman, or why does it have to be a person of color? Are we judging people on that now?
Yeah, we're you know, because, you know, and I also dispute that, you know, this is a more recent thing. I think this is a long time coming. I think the Russians were trying to do this quite a bit before, because, you know, everybody's saying, you know, going on about how Valentina Tereshkova is as the first woman on space. Oh, how awesome for her, or something like that, right? But it is my understanding, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but she was basically inexperienced for the most part. She was basically only good at parachuting, I think. And, you know, and she was also a Communist Party member, so that obviously helped. You know, but, you know, everybody's kind of going out how awesome she was for being the first woman in space or something like that. So I don't know, this whole woke thing, you know, it's more far back than we might think, I think. You know?
Probably, but it's maybe like a lot of things. The internet has probably exposed it, and, you know, because everybody can speak now. Everybody's got a platform now, so I think the internet has exposed a lot of things, women especially, and things like that. Like you say, you know, how far back the woke thing has gone. But it's to me it's so silly that, okay, getting a man on Mars, right? That's something, right? I mean, it wouldn't be me, but if somebody wants to do that, it is an achievement, and it would be great. But to then go further and think, no, we can't have a white man, you know, it's like, wait a minute, why even having that thought process?
Right.
You know, it's what the hell is wrong with having a white man do it? I mean, what if the white man lands on Mars, right, and then says, I identify as a woman? Is that okay then? Do we count it as a woman? I mean, it's so the whole woke thing. The whole woke thing is very annoying. Like Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't know. Do you ever play Grand Theft Auto, by the way?
I watched my friends play, and I've kind of played when I was a teenager. That is, you know, had some shots that I didn't. It seemed kind of freestyle to me. I didn't really know what the objective was, but I know how it goes.
But the woke thing is it's almost backfiring, right? Grand Theft Auto 6 is being made, right? Very secretive. Nobody knows anything about it. But one of the rumors is that the protagonist will be a woman, right?
Hmm.
Now I know Rockstar and I know that they can do women pretty well, right?
Okay.
They portray women brilliantly, right? But a lot of people are going, oh no, we can't have a woman. That's woke. But I don't think it would be. I think they could pull it off. But people are now thinking, oh, that's woke, and it might not actually be for woke reasons. It might be the complete
Right.
opposite,
Well,
you know.
well, let me kind of interject here. It's like, we don't know. It's like we as an audience don't seem, we can't really tell when someone's being woke or not in this kind of climate we have right now. Like,
Hmm.
nobody knows that, this is an original character who happens to be a woman, that, you're just kind of putting it in because that's the character you made. But, because, we've got that whole Ghostbusters thing happening where it's
Uh,
pretty clear that, this was an attempt to make, it's all the, no girl power kind of stuff, and that one man is a dimwit, because men are dimwits. Yeah, but it's like, and the same extends with things like race, I would say. It's like,
hmm
nobody knows if a guy is his race because that's how he was originally created, or
hmm
if it's for an agenda, you know?
That's true. I mean, it's like it's not just this goes for jobs as well. Like
Mhm.
imagine if you were going, imagine you were a surgeon, right? That's a good job, right? Imagine you were a
Yeah.
surgeon, right? Um, if you were a white man, right, you know that you must have earned that job. You
Hmm.
must have earned that. You must have got that job on merit. But if
Yeah.
you're a black man or you're a woman, you're going
Hmm.
to be thinking, wait a minute, did I only get this because I checked a box, or
Right.
was I the best person for the job? And even though they might be, by the way,
Hmm.
it's really unfair on them because
Sure.
it must be at the back of their mind, that
Right.
because I know that it would be at the back of my mind. Like to say me being Scottish, if I went to America and there was affirmative action for Scottish people, if I
Hmm.
got a good job, obviously it would be at the back of my mind that I probably only got this job because I'm Scottish, rather
Right.
than and I think it's very patronising to women and
Yeah.
black people. Did you hear that Asians are now counted as white people? By the way, did you hear that one?
Okay, so I'm all white then.
Yeah, you're all what you're all. They're realizing that if they call Asians people of color, um, that means the argument can be made that actually people of color are the most successful because Asians are the top earners in America, you
Hmm.
know.
Right.
So they can then say, well, wait a minute, people of color are not doing that bad. So now they've decided that actually Asians now count as white,
Right. Like,
and it's
like,
so pathetic.
well, let me rant about something. Person of color. Like, I hated that expression
Hmm.
because it's just defining oneself against whites and now Asians, as you say, because it's like, like non-white people are color, white people are then colorless.
Yes.
So it's like it's how the left gets away with this sort of blatant hypocrisy. It's because like we don't discriminate against race, but we discriminate against whites because they're not a race, they're the colorless,
Hmm.
right?
Well, I mean,
So
people of color basically means not white. It does. I
exactly.
mean, because everybody who isn't white, until recently, the Asians, but everybody who isn't white
Yeah,
gets thrown in, to the people of color. So in other words, it's not white. Whenever I see POC, it means not white. They
exactly.
should just say that.
Yeah, right. But it's like, it's just another, it's like, like back in the Jim Crow days, colored people this and others do that. It's like it's now they're assigning it to themselves, and now they're using it
Hmm.
for their own purposes. And I'll have nothing of that. Like one time, I was referred to as a person of color, and that left a terrible taste in my mouth. Being half
Hmm.
Japanese and stuff like that. It's even more weird because I'm half Japanese, so as if my white side doesn't count, and I'm referred to as a person of color. Like, this seems so fundamentally intellectually wrong. It's like, can we dispense with this person of color tribalistic nonsense?
Hmm. So is it you? Is your dad Japanese and your mother's white, or is that
No,
the other
the
way
other way
around?
around.
Other way around.
My dad was a Navy retiree and basically living over there for a while.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, but I was a U.S. citizen born abroad to begin with because of my dad, and so anyway, it just came to be that a month before 9/11 was the time we came to live on the United States. So it's like like we barely got settled back in, and I was just and this 9/11 thing was happening. So
Where in the United States are
um,
you? What state?
I'm right now I'm on Minnesota,
Minnesota.
but I grew up from teenage onwards in Florida. So
Oh, Florida. Or wait a minute, you're not Florida man, are you? I've heard about him. He's fun.
yeah,
He
yeah,
sounds fun.
he gets around. Yeah.
But that's Minnesota's is it pretty safe there? It's a safe place.
Well, that's a good question. So the whole rioting that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Minutes away is the police station that burned.
Oh,
Minutes
Jesus.
away. And there's a gas station over there on walking distance that was put on fire and was basically out of commission for like a whole year. It's only now back up as a new place, but it's like I was kind of freaking out, like I need firearms, right? So but like I was actually driving on Snelling Avenue. I was just seeing people actually looting, going in and out of convenience stores, looting crap, and places were boarded up and everything. So it was like so it was a of all places, my vicinity. So that was kind
Mm-hmm.
of I was freaking out, and it's like my thoughts on the whole situation were complicated, but I'll never condone riots ever. So
No. I mean, it's just there's no need for that. There's no need for that.
it's an
There's,
excuse. I call it vigilante fascism, because you're
mhm.
holding the community hostage because give us your stuff, give us your stuff and let us burn your property to the ground and destroy your livelihood or you're dead. So that's the mentality of the rioter, and it's just disgusting to me that anyone actually supports them.
There
Right.
was a guy in, I think it was New York. I think he was Chinese man.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if that bothers you that all Asians basically get thrown all together anyway. But
Well, more on that in a bit, but yeah, go ahead.
there was an old Chinese man, Asian, right?
Mhm.
And he was killed by a black man, right?
Right.
So like a week later, after he was murdered and the guy was arrested and all that, they held like a march
Mhm.
in his honor, and the march was against white supremacy.
I
That
saw that.
is
Yeah.
that is insane to me, because that's how terrified the woke mob are to
Mhm.
come out and just say, you know what, it was a black guy that did this. You know what I mean? And
Right.
or to come out and say, you know what, these attacks on Asians are committed by black people. It's black people that are doing it. It's not white people. But yet the
Mhm.
focus was on white supremacy, which had nothing to do with the guy's death. And yet
Right.
it's crazy, absolutely crazy to me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's they just want something to keep on furthering their nonsense ideology.
Hmm.
Like I'm just I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here because I don't know what new things there is to say about this, but it's what it is. It's like they just want to focus on this white supremacy thing. Which I think has no traction here in the United States at all, even if it tried to. So and uh, like people need to kind of realize how these people trying to do the whole race tribalism thing, they need to know how much they're being played. you know they need to kind of take that red pill, shall we say.
Yes, be good if they could wake up to that. But what were you going to say about the whole Asian thing being
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lumped together?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, it's just funny because like I get it. Like everybody kind
Hmm.
of makes the same Chinese kind of a thing. When we're talking about Asians in general, right? And it's just it may be mildly annoying, but I don't want to cancel anyone for it. But here's the thing, like they say that we're all kind of like the same Asians, as if we're kind of like happy, like like a happy sect of the human race. But among Asians, tensions are high. Like if
Yes.
you're from China, you hate Japanese people, and if you're Korean, you hate Japanese people. Everybody hates the Japanese people, and like so. Then there's if I sound like I'm taking this personally, everybody's coming at the Japanese people. So, but I don't want that conflict, right? Like, but at the same time, I find myself, I don't want that conflict, but I have to be careful when I mention that I'm Japanese to someone who I know is not a is a non-Japanese Asian,
Okay.
especially if they're older. So,
Hmm.
right. So I'm just kind of worried that this is for the rape of Nanking or something like that. And and sometimes I get this is from Pearl Harbor from some other people. So I don't know. It gets frustrating for me.
Hmm.
Right. But I don't let it define me, right? Like
No.
because I maybe it's because of this, but that's why I take up the individualist philosophy. Because it's really about me. I transcend my race, basically,
Hmm.
or race. Like Asian, white, whatever. I just want to do whatever the heck I want,
Hmm.
and live the way I choose, and don't screw with me. Like don't push me around.
So,
That's yeah. Go ahead.
so when it comes to the recent Dr. Zeus thing, I don't know if you know much about that, but
Somewhat. Yeah.
there's an uproar that he depicted a Chinese man, and he had like the lines for eyes,
Hmm.
he did the kind of triangle hat, and
The
he was eating with sticks. Now, I've actually seen a lot of Chinese people, that do look like that. So, is that offensive? How is that offensive? I can't figure
well,
that out.
well, those things were like back in the day of what we called what was it called, the yellow scare, I think it was, this warning against the yellow peril, because this is World War II propaganda, I think we're
Yes.
talking about, right? Now, it's like they're trying to kind of make us look subhuman or something like that, because it's not just about the sticks, right? It's just the kind of scrawny, and it's like like they're kind of goblins or something like that. But it's just taking a characteristic and exaggerating it, because well, I can't speak for the Chinese, of course. I'm
No, no, no.
but I get what they're trying to say, but uh, I still am not willing to cancel it. I want to,
No.
like have that out there so we can say, we don't do this anymore. But it's like, but still, uh, I'm trying to
Although,
gather my thoughts on this here. It's like just kind of, um, well, you were going to say something. What's up?
no, I was just going to say, to be fair, no Chinese person has actually complained about it. You,
Right.
you
Well, yeah,
know,
that's
it was other people as usual, taking offence on their behalf. But the Chinese people aren't actually offended, and I just like if Doctor Zeus had depicted Scottish people wearing kilts with ginger hair, I wouldn't be offended at that, because we did used to wear kilts. We did used to have ginger hair, so
right. Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But and I really don't think the Chinese are offended either. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
it's the white, liberals who have decided to take offence on their behalf.
Right.
And I find the whole thing strange.
Yeah. Well, I also find it a bit ironic because it's my understanding that Dr. Seuss was a big time progressive. He was a
Hmm.
big, FDR supporter and everything. So it's just ironic that he's being canceled to me. Like and it's I don't know. Maybe they just kind of want to you know take the fact that a progressive liberal Democrat was a big did what was considered racist, and trying to put that under the carpet, like this
Aye.
never happened or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean I understand there's this thing about trying to make Asians blanket kind of look like monsters and stuff like that. But I see what you're saying too. It's like sometimes it takes a characteristic. It's like how ad hominem kind of doesn't really stand up as a real insult. It's like, oh, you like Star Trek. Well, okay, I like Star Trek. So so I see both sides of it. I still don't think canceling him does anything, any good. Just harm. You know.
So you were saying earlier about in Japan. Do you think, in your experience anyway, do you think that Japan's a freer country than America?
So I had a conversation with a guy called Graham Smith under the name Voluntary Japan. He's an American that lives in Japan, right?
Hmm.
So he has had some interesting observations to make about whether Japan's been really collectivist as the media portrays them or not, or are they more free in other ways that America is not? And I think there were some great points made. In some ways, yes, I think Japan has more more in terms of they don't have to necessarily rely on the government for everything, I guess, that America's kind of turning into. And like
Hmm.
I said, they have more societal attitudes that are they don't make a big deal about certain things like guns in anime, or just you don't need like some excessive regulation to have some building put up or something like that. Obviously I don't know the details. I haven't lived there since preteens,
Hmm.
but uh, they seem like they can explore a lot more interesting ideas over there with little problem.
Hmm.
Like they can have their you know tea cafes with a bunch of cats in them that you can pet, and it's like they have the liberty to try crazy things out, you know?
Yes,
Yeah, right.
I try them out, and without the the bureaucrats
Exactly.
on
Like,
top of them.
yeah, and like the health inspectors when it comes to foods and stuff like that, or fire hazards, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so in many ways, yes, they are free, but uh, at the same time, they're really there's still some collectivism, right? Like right now, there's no lockdown in Japan, but everybody has this social. There isn't technically a lockdown in Japan, to my knowledge. That's what Graham said, but everybody has this societal attitude that you're a you're a bad person if you don't have a mask on or something like that. And it's just that social pressure, that sense of
Hmm.
shame that kind of keeps people. Oh, I must wear a mask, or they won't patronize my store or something like that. So, so there's some. I think liberty needs to be just as mental as well as political, I think.
Although the lockdown has still affected them because of the Olympics, and the
Well, true.
Super Mario World was opening up, the kind of Disney Disney World type thing,
Mhm.
with Mario. That hadn't opened either because of it. So although I maybe not on lockdown, but it's affecting the whole world, isn't it? So they still have to kind of play along. But
Yeah.
there seems to, I remember Tucker Carlson was
Mhm.
went to Japan, and he was hosting the show from there,
Sure.
and you could see the look on his face of shock of how clean the place was. He says, "Look, I'm in a train station. Look how clean it is. Look how clean that." And he was, I think he's really annoyed that he had to go back home to America, where they're not like that. But
Mhm.
there has to be some downsides as well.
Oh,
Although
there are.
in Japan, I'm not sure what they are, but I imagine there would be downsides as well. It can't all be peaches and cream. I mean, your parents must have had at some point a discussion and where was best to live, right? But they chose
Probably. Yeah.
America over
Yeah.
Japan. It must have been close though. It must have been a close call, eh? Because
Probably.
Japan's
Yeah.
not that bad.
It's not that bad, but like for as much liberty as I speak, potential liberty that there can be, you know, I don't know if I would have been as happy or as individualistic I am here in the United States, actually, where I think I might have bowed to some kind of pressure. And it's this weird thing. It's like if you want to kind of be your own person, you either have to be a sort of uh, like a genuinely crazy person, or you just kind of do your everyday salaryman kind of
Hmm.
uh, uh, live in a conformist kind of way. So there's just this two extremes.
Oh, sorry, that's my phone. Sorry, sorry.
That's okay. Yep. Right. But I don't regret uh, having lived here. I think
Hmm.
well, everybody doesn't regret the place that they are right now, right? But I consider myself to have been benefited intellectually from being here, I think.
Are you allowed to live in Japan as a citizen?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I think citizenship is something I don't know the details, but
No.
I might have to kind of declare it at a certain point. And no, I'm just a U.S. citizen, I guess. I genuinely don't know the details of that.
I thought you would have just, because of your mum and dad. I thought you'd be like dual citizenship type of thing.
Right. Well, I think dual citizenship. Well, maybe one day I'll get back to you on that one. I genuinely don't know. So
I don't know either. I've
yeah.
got a clue.
hmm Right. But the thing is, it's like Japan. If you're in any way not Japanese, you will never belong.
No.
Right.
But I like that though. I kind of like that. Japan should be for the Japanese. That's I believe that. I don't want Japan to turn into Somalia. You know what I mean? I want it to remain Japanese. But I think I know what you mean. If you're not Japanese, it's really not for you. To live there.
Right. Yeah. It just kind of gets in a gray area for I guess somebody who might be in my position who might has both cultures kind of like kind of having trouble fitting in either side. So where do you belong for sure then? So I guess that's been a struggle I've been kind of trying to figure out in my own right, because when you're an adult in America, you're more accepted than anywhere else, I think. So and here's the thing, like when we were talking about the possibility of me having lived in Japan, I wouldn't have been accepted. Even though I was born there and grew up with the culture, I probably still wouldn't be accepted, I think, because I'd still be too different, I would say.
That's what you think anyway, based on your knowledge of it. That's what you think.
I think so, yeah. Based on my experiences, just it's a guess, but yeah.
Do you think America will ever split up? Do you think there's like too many states that just can't get along with each other?
I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if I have any thoughts on whether there are too many or too few states. But they all seem to kind of, as states in general, I think they could stand to have their own rights, I think.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, some do though, don't they? Like some are
do,
like allowed to legalize cannabis, and some others don't, or whatever.
Yeah. But it's something I haven't really given too much thought. All right, so I guess we're kind of coming at the end of our talk. We've been talking for about over an hour and a half now. That's pretty good.
I feel like I covered quite a lot there, actually.
Yeah. We went in many different directions. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much for joining me today, Alex.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.